Chapter 320. Shiyuejian's seemingly ordinary Weibo post immediately caused a sensation. The words, "Yes, my junior brother," shocked many people. They forwarded and commented on it one after another. It's going to be big news. So Lu Qing is your junior brother, heroine sure. No wonder he could reach 8th pin in 1 year and win the youth tournament of Xing province. He's a strong competitor for the favored son of God. No wonder Lu Qing is also a direct disciple of a big sect. Zhang Zhutong and Han Jifei deserve to lose. Can't you guys have a better attitude? It's not like only the direct disciples of big sects and forces can become the favored son of God. It should be the other way around. The favored son of God must become the direct disciples of big sects and forces. Even if one of them doesn't have eyes, they can't all be blind. The comment above came from Unparalleled Dragon King, of course, the one in Lu Cheng's fan forum. The real Dragon King used his real name on Weibo, Dragon King Chen Chitao. Unparalleled Dragon King's comment made Yi Yaoding, who was browsing the comments, feel ashamed. Just now, when she saw Shiyuejian's Weibo post, she spontaneously came up with the same idea as some of the comments. No wonder I lost to Lu Qing. No wonder he can always create miracles and surpass me and all the other mighty ones I know. It's because he has an extraordinary background and is a direct disciple of the Ice God sect. And I just reached Dan stage recently and successfully joined Xuanhuan sect. And I don't have a master of physical invulnerability. When she saw Unparalleled Dragon King's rebuke, she felt that every word was piercing her heart and broke out in cold sweat. My attitude just now was very dangerous. As a fighter, I can't whitewash failure and find excuses. I have to admit defeat but not admit defeat. She looked down and continued reading the reposts and comments. Wow, Lu Qing is your junior brother. No wonder I always thought highly of him. Junior brother is not bad. I remember he just won the championship, right? That's right. Except for 24 blizzard strikes, Lu Qing hasn't used many moves of the Ice sect before. Well, in that case, it's been almost 4 months since Lu Qing entered the Dan stage. As the heroine's junior brother, it's impossible that he hasn't practiced some unique skills of the Ice sect. Oh my, I'm looking forward to his duel with Peng Liyun and Ren Li more and more. Heroine, quickly let your little junior brother tell us how he feels. Are you very confused when facing such a high-level actor? Was he laughing like a fool? Lu Qing swiped his thumb and leaned his head against Xianxia's as he looked at his senior sister's Weibo. When he was satisfied with the likes and exited, he suddenly found that Lu Qing 129 had more than 20,000 followers, and it was still rising. The advertising effect is not bad. Xianxia turned her eyes and joked. Most of them are just here to watch the show. 99% of them are not my fans. Lu Qing was very clear-headed and rational. The number of followers on his forum was still far from reaching 10,000. Although he said that, he was still a little excited. Do you think I should post something on Weibo? What should I send? Just be yourself. Xianxia looked at him and said with a smile. That's right. I'm a martial artist. I don't have to rely on fans to make a living. Why should I spend so much effort to create a good image for myself? Just do what you want. Lu Qing made up his mind and nodded solemnly. Listening to Ko Qian is better than studying for 10 years. Liar. You've listened to hundreds or thousands of words from me, but I don't see you as smart as someone who has studied for thousands or tens of thousands of years. Xianxia pretended to be serious and laughed softly. I'm actually speechless. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. His fingers moved and reposted his senior sister's Weibo post with the following words. Thank you, senior sister, for your recognition. Laughing and crying, I was really confused at that time. I suspected that Muyu was using some big move that didn't distinguish between friend and foe, so I didn't dare to act rashly. Later, I realized that it was the backlash of his supernatural ability, misfortune. Less than a few seconds after he clicked send, he immediately saw a red circle at the bottom of the post. He found that there was already a comment. When he entered, he saw that it was from an ID called Little Mouse in the Alley. There were only 2 words in the comment. Like me. This is fighting for the front row. Lu Qing refreshed the page and saw that there were a few more comments and reposts. Eternal Nightfall said, Tiger touch my Lu Qing. Close-up photo. Brahmin 001 inch said, Idol look at me. Waving. My hair is much longer said, reporting. Unparalleled Dragon King said with a smiling cat head, then what should I say? The Longhu Club Forum sightseeing group is here? Xianxia couldn't help but smile. She took the initiative to help refresh the page and saw that behind the familiar ID was a large number of unfamiliar followers. If she hadn't reminded Yan Shaoling in advance, the fans of the forum wouldn't have been able to stand in the front row. I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear, I'm just a fan of the acting Muyu. It's the backlash of supernatural ability. Bane, that's a cool name. When Lu Cheng and Yen Zhika were browsing the follow-up comments, a well-known user reposted his Weibo post. Mo Jingting, who had tens of millions of followers, said, "My awesome junior master. In a classroom on the 4th floor of the #1 teaching building, Qiu Zhigao finished a homework by himself. He stretched himself and wanted to relax. He browsed the news of Mo Jingting's official fan club and was looking forward to the concert on Tuesday. While scrolling, he suddenly saw a fan saying, 'Quick, quick, quick. Little sister has posted a new Weibo post, everyone go and like it.' What did Jingting post? Old Xiu clicked on the link and opened the Weibo. Her awesome junior master? Who is that? Qiu Zhigao looked down with interest and noticed that the username of the user that Mo Jingting had reposted was Lu Qing 129. Haha, the same name as Jingting's awesome junior master is also called Lu Qing. What a coincidence. Qiu Zhigao clicked on Lu Qing 129 and entered his homepage. He saw the introduction. Songqing University Martial Arts Club Leading General. Songqing University Martial Arts Club Leading General? What a coincidence, the same name as Qing. Wait. Qiu Zhigao's eyes froze on these few words. *CK, could he be the Lu Qing I know? He is Jingting's junior master? Lu Cheng and Yen Zhika also noticed Mo Jingting's repost, because the number of followers on his Weibo account had increased by more than 50,000 and was rapidly approaching 100,000. He could be called a VIP account now. I've received too much attention at my age. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry and made a self-deprecating remark. What does martial niece Mo mean? It's not necessarily a good thing for her to reveal her background and identity. Besides, it's annoying to have too much popularity and too much attention. Lu Qing wasn't ready to become a real celebrity yet. He wanted to participate in competitions, earn money, and fight with strong opponents to reach the peak of martial arts. He wanted to be respected daily and not worry about being disturbed in his life. Others can't even ask for it. Yen Zhika said with a faint smile, "This is also a sign of goodwill, right? But I don't like this kind of goodwill." Lu Qing sighed. It's enough for her. Well, those who don't know about the internal affairs of the Ice God sect will think that she has a good relationship with you. As long as you can keep improving and becoming stronger, her Weibo post won't be in vain. Yen Zhika rolled her eyes and analyzed Mo Jingting's thoughts. Unless you post a Weibo post specifically against her. But I don't think you're capable of doing that, Qing. At this moment, Lu Cheng's phone vibrated with a message. Martial niece Mo said in a weak voice, "Junior Master, I reposted your post in a moment of excitement. Did it cause you any trouble?" Well, as expected, she did it first and then apologized. Lu Qing showed it to Coach Yen and pondered for a while before replying, "It's a little troublesome. Don't do it again. Just don't do it again." Seeing the content, Yen Zhika couldn't help but laugh. She pursed her lips and teased, "You're really like a junior master. You sound like an old man." Soon Mo Jingting sent another message, "Junior master, you're so kind and broad-minded. I won't do it again. I promise. You've achieved your goal. Of course, you don't have to do it again." Lu Qing complained in his heart. He was about to put down his phone and concentrate on self-study. At this moment, Yen Zhika bit her lower lip and took the initiative to say, "Ask her when she's free before and after the concert. As the host, we still have to entertain her. It's troublesome to go out of school. If the time isn't suitable, we won't invite her. We'll just go to the concert." If it weren't for the fact that he was looking forward to a date, Lu Qing would have even skipped the rest of the matter. Hearing his answer, Yen Zhika's expression relaxed. She said with a smile, "I just praised you for being a junior master. You're ignoring your martial niche just because of a little trouble? There are very few people who can make me not care about trouble, not including her." Lu Qing responded with a smile and took the opportunity to make another confession. Diske, your sweet-talking skill has leveled up again?" Yen Zhika turned her head and laughed, her eyes shining. "How can it be called sweet-talking from the heart?" Lu Qing said shamelessly. He also sent a message to Mo Jingting, asking when she was free to entertain. Mo Jingting seemed to have been holding the phone all the time. She quickly replied, "Thank you, junior master. I know you can't come out during school hours. Besides, aren't you coming to the concert on Tuesday? I can't let you come again and again. How about this, I'll come to your school tomorrow afternoon. Just treat me to the cafeteria. It's a specialty of Songqing. You can't find it anywhere else." "Cafeteria?" Lu Qing and Xianxia looked at each other. They didn't expect Mo Jingting to be so considerate. She's not going to play any tricks, is she? Lu Qing frowned and whispered. No, unless she really wants to force you to fall out with her. Xianxia pondered and said, she's probably showing her considerate side after achieving her goal. Lu Qing nodded slightly and typed on the keyboard, our cafeteria is not good. Be careful not to have a stomachache and affect the concert. He thought it was better to be decent and planned to book the Chinese restaurant in school. Junior Master, I'm a fighter of professional 9th pin. I'm in good health. How can I have a stomachache? Anyway, you make the decision. You make the decision. Mo Jingting didn't insist. Looking at her cute words, Xianxia's eyelids twitched. She felt uncomfortable and suddenly regretted being so generous and polite. She should have let Qing completely ignore her. Lu Qing replied coldly to Mo Jingting, okay, text me before you arrive. After sending, he put down the phone and sighed. He turned to Xianxia and smiled bitterly. I don't know why, but when I see her acting cute to me, I feel a little uncomfortable, even nauseous. Maybe this is forced acting cute and malicious acting cute? The reason was probably because Mo Jingting's image in his mind was a scheming girl who was not suitable for acting cute. Xianxia couldn't help but laugh. The previous haze was swept away. At this moment, Lu Qing received 2 messages from Qiu Zhigao and Qin Mo. Qing, I'm kneeling to you. Accept my kneeling. Brother Qing, my dear brother, take me to see Jingting. Chapter 321. These two. Lu Qing cursed under his breath and replied to old Qiu, you don't have to kneel down. It's none of my business. You should kneel down to my master, Coach Shur of the martial arts club. He happens to be the junior of Mo Jingting's master's master. He explained the origin of their relationship with a tongue twister. Before he could exit the dialogue, Qiu Zhigao sent another message with a blinking emoji. Is she as beautiful as she is on TV? Some stars were too horrible to look at in real life. I say, don't you find it disgusting for a burly man like you to use this kind of expression and weak tone? His roommates were used to teasing each other. Lu Qing replied with a vomiting emoji and added, it's okay. It's about the same. Mo Jingting was in the prime of her life. She didn't need to rely on external decorations. What's her real personality like? Old Qiu didn't care about Lu Qing's previous words and continued to ask. Lu Qing thought for a while and typed quickly. She's quite cheerful and extroverted. Of course she was also quite scheming. But there was no need to tell old Qiu. He wouldn't have any contact with Mo Jingting at all. It was better to let him keep his beautiful memories. Besides, it wasn't good to talk behind someone's back. It wasn't like they were dating, so there was no need to hide anything. Just like her usual performance. Qiu Zhigao replied excitedly. Lu Qing ignored him and exited the chat box. He opened Qin Mo's message and sent an emoji. As the saying goes, it's better to hear than to see. Let the beauty of your imagination remain in your imagination. Once it becomes reality, you will be disappointed. He declined Qin Mo's request to see Mo Jingting. Firstly, it was a matter of courtesy. It was disrespectful to bring Qin Mo along without greeting him. Secondly, he didn't want to owe a favor to this unpredictable martial niece. Speak human. Do you think the realistic Mo Jingting will disappoint me? Then let me ask you, is she as pretty as she is on TV? Are her eyes still so special? Is she still so lively and cheerful? Is she good at acting cute? Qin Mo asked. These are quite suitable. Lu Qing didn't go against his conscience. But other aspects have nothing to do with me. I'm not going to take her as my wife. I'm just fantasizing about her. Why do I have to care so much? Looks like I won't be disappointed. Qin Mo replied with a disdainful expression. Beast. Lu Qing was speechless. You're not a real fan. At 9:30 p.m. Lu Qing sent Xianxia back to her dormitory. While thinking about the arrangements for her birthday, he returned to dormitory 302 Unit 2 Building 7. As soon as he pushed the door open, he saw Qiu Zhigao and Qin Mo sitting on the sofa. In front of them was a TV showing a martial arts competition. You're not playing games? Lu Qing asked in surprise. Qin Mo immediately put on a smile and pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses. I'm tired and hungry. Qing, do you want to have supper with me? It's my treat. I call barbecue. At this time, the cafeterias and shops in the school were all closed. However, there was a town nearby, and the students had a takeout app. Besides, the new campus of Songqing University was not separated by a wall. Instead, it was in the form of iron railings. With the railings, there would be space for food boxes to be delivered. Of course, there was no need for large food boxes. There was once a student who was greedy and ordered dozens of RMB fish with pickled cabbage and chili. The restaurant owner was dumbfounded and directly put it in a large plastic box. However, the delivery boy couldn't get it over the railings. The student was so anxious that he even wanted to eat on the spot. The food was outside, but he was inside. He was crying while eating. However, this incident had a happy ending. The delivery boy was good at martial arts. He carried the food box over the railings and didn't spill a single bit. It taught the majority of students that it was not wrong to have some martial arts skills. No, it's okay. It'll disturb my sleep at this time. Lu Qing politely declined. Well, we'll eat by ourselves. Zhou Zhigao smiled. I've got some hot water for you. You don't have to come again. Don't be like this. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Lu Qing didn't respond politely. Instead, he directly scolded them jokingly. Isn't it because we want to take advantage of young martial uncle's glory? Qin Imo joked. Qing, I don't ask for much. Just get some autographs for me. Old Xiu said shyly. Okay. If there's a chance. Lu Qing shook his head with a smile. I'm a VIP, but I don't see you guys trying to curry favor with me. At the end of the afternoon class the next day, Lu Qing received a message from Imo Jingting. Young martial uncle, I'm on the school bus. Okay, we'll pick you up at the bus station. Lu Qing emphasized the word, we, and sent the message that Imo Jingting was already on the school bus to Yanzhika. Yanzhika replied with an obedient sitting posture, I'm in the dormitory. I'm tidying up. You can wait for me at the door of the dormitory. Not a xianxia. A thought flashed through Lu Qing's mind. He replied amusedly, okay. Yanzhika is quite serious. She even went back to tidy herself up. Well, she once said that girls are more cautious when they see other girls than boys. More than 20 minutes later, Lu Qing, who was waiting at the door of the third building, saw the arrival of the little fairy again. Yanzhika had put on light makeup and dressed up to highlight her gentle and delicate side. She was really elegant and refined, and her eyes were shining brightly. What are you looking at? Let's go. Yanzhika pouted and said in a low voice. Lu Qing retracted his gaze and held her soft hand. He laughed and said, I'm looking at a little fairy. Even though he saw Yanzhika every day, he was still shocked. Unfortunately, it was rare to see such a serious face twice. Humph. Yanzhika turned her head and looked up. Her lips curled up, but she didn't say anything. The two of them walked forward, attracting a lot of attention. The dark winter evening seemed to be dyed with a layer of light. They didn't wait long at the bus station before they saw Imo Jingting walking to the entrance of the school bus. She was wearing sunglasses that covered half of her face. In the winter evening, she looked so bright and eye-catching. She seemed to have put a lot of thought into her appearance. Before they left the school bus, Imo Jingting's eyes caught Yanzhika's. As a girl, she was also a bit stunned. In this aspect, Yanzhika was relatively better. After all, she often saw Yanzhika on TV in various styles. Yanzhika only felt a little grief and indignation about how good it was to be tall. Then she pursed her lips and smiled gently, looking back at Yanzhika. Their eyes met. Lu Qing, who was ignored, seemed to hear a sound in the air. Let's go to the restaurant first. It's not convenient to talk here. He took the initiative to step forward and said first. Under the gaze of the passing students, Lu Qing and Yanzhika walked in front hand in hand. Imo Jingting was half a step behind, looking at their intertwined fingers with great interest. After entering the small private room of the Academy restaurant, when all the dishes were served, the door closed and no one disturbed them, Imo Jingting took off her sunglasses. She looked at Lu Qing and Yanzhika with her misty and affectionate eyes and said, No wonder little martial uncle never looked sideways. It's because he has such a beautiful girlfriend. How should I call you? I should call you little martial aunt, but it feels weird. Makes you sound old. Yanzhika. Just call me Zhika. Yanzhika smiled politely with her dimples. Are you a disciple of Shushan study? Imo Jingting asked curiously, resting her chin on one hand. Kind of. How did you know? Yanzhika opened her mouth and was surprised. My surname is Yan and I live in Xioshan. The yin-yang twist is not easy to distinguish from the outside. Even if she could find my school records, it would be hard for her to link me to Shushan study. Imo Jingting smiled sweetly and glanced at Lu Qing. My youngest uncle told me. I didn't say that. Lu Qing denied without waiting for Yanzhika to look at him. Shouldn't normal people think about whether they said it before? Little martial uncle, your reaction is wrong. Imo Jingting felt that this was completely different from what she had expected. How do you know you didn't say it? What if it's easy to say? Xianxia turned to look at her boyfriend with a faint smile on her face. Lu Qing coughed and said, "My master said it." The conversation left a deep impression on me, so I remembered it immediately. He said that I don't need to join the wuxia club in the future. He would be happy to see me become a guest of the Longhu club or marry into Shushan study. He deliberately said it as it was to make his little fairy laugh. Marry into Shushan study? You said it as if you were going to marry my brother? Xianxia couldn't help but laugh. She turned her head and raised her neck. Her rosy cheeks and sparkling eyes made her shy and coquettish. Then she joked and changed the topic. This topic seemed to be more fun, making her tremble with laughter. It's so funny. Looking at Xianxia and Lu Qing showing off their affection, Mo Jingting, who had completely become a background, picked up the teacup and took a sip. She felt like she had been fed dog food, lonely with the end of the bitter rain. I shouldn't have come, she thought helplessly. At the same time, she understood what she had done wrong and why little Martial Uncle's attitude was so cold. They were in the honeymoon period and couldn't tolerate outsiders. Flirting with him would only make him feel disgusted, and once that happened, the more you tried to please him, the more annoyed he would be. I should have used a silent method. I didn't really want to let him take advantage of me. It might be better to be a real martial nephew. With a change of mind, her attitude also changed. She took the initiative to talk to Xianxia and then to Lu Qing. She had been in the entertainment circle for several years. Although some of her ideas were not as mature as Xianxia's and sometimes not rational enough, in terms of communication skills, she was far better than the two who lacked practice. When the topic was led to the secrets of other stars in the circle, both Lu Qing and Xianxia lowered their vigilance and listened with great interest. The meal was very harmonious. This was not the news of an entertainment reporter, but the ridicule of a big star in the circle. Everyone has a heart for gossip. I didn't expect him to be a bottom in private. When mentioning a certain male star, Xianxia suddenly realized and was shocked. In this industry there are so many things that both men and women are used to it. It would be strange if there wasn't a lot of dirty things. Mo Jingting sighed. If I didn't have the background of the sect, and if the sect was involved in this circle with some industries and power, I don't know if I could resist the temptation and coercion. While speaking, she looked at Xianxia and Lu Qing pitifully. She did not expect them to promise her anything. She only wanted to leave an impression. When the time came and little Martial Uncle had the strength of a high-ranked dance stage or even physical invulnerability, he would have a strong voice in the sect. Maybe then she could win sympathy and help. Lu Qing did not promise anything carelessly. He just sighed about the chaos in the entertainment circle. Mo Jingting gathered her emotions and continued to talk about interesting things. She also continued to bear with the couple's affectionate display from time to time. At the end of the conversation, she took out a few tickets from her purse and pushed them to Lu Qing and Xianxia. Little Martial Uncle Xia, these are the tickets for the VIP section of the concert. She covered her mouth and chuckled. She added, you are not in the circle. If we directly invite you to the VIP section, you will feel uncomfortable and will disturb your date. It is better to give you the tickets for the good seats. Thank you. 2 tickets are enough for us. Others have enough. Lu Qing said politely. Little Martial Uncle, you are my elder. It would be too much for me to say thank you. Mo Jingting teased. Others? Do you know any friends who are my fans? Quite a few. Lu Qing changed his mind and helped old Xiao and Qin Mo get autographs. Mo Jingting smiled and took out a sticky note. She tore off 2 pieces and signed her name, one for Qin Mo and one for Qiao Zhigao. It looks much better than your signature. Xianxia took a look at it and said to her boyfriend, it looks much better than your signature. I don't rely on this for a living. Lu Qing smiled and kept the note. He waited until Mo Jingting put on a pair of plain glasses before calling the waiter to pay the bill. After sending the superstar who had changed her attitude to the school bus, Lu Qing and Xianxia looked at each other and exhaled at the same time. I feel more tired than fighting in a competition, Xianxia said half emotionally and half coquettishly. An undercurrent of war between girls? Do you want me to help you rub your temples? Lu Qing suggested with a smile. With you here she is more obedient. This is good. Well, she is a very smart girl. Xianxia nodded to herself. They chatted for a while and sat on a nearby bench. Of course it was the girl who took out the tissue. Lu Qing habitually took out a few to wipe the surface of the chair. How many tickets are there in total? Xianxia asked casually. Lu Qing rubbed her temples and thought for a while. 4 tickets, 2 for us and 2 for the rest. You can ask your roommates if they want. Old Xiao and Beast both have tickets. Okay. Xianxia took out her phone and asked Li Liantong and the others. Li Liantong answered with grief and indignation that she really wanted to go, but Tuesday night was a very important professional class. She couldn't skip it, and it was the same for Shi Xiangyang. Therefore their first concert experience was postponed. Zhong Yanru was Mo Jingting's anti-fan and hated her very much. She wouldn't betray her principles for the concert. I don't want to go. You better give it to old Xiao and Qin Mo. This seat is much better. Or give it to Talker. Xianxia suggested. Okay. Lu Qing began to look forward to the grateful expressions of old Xiao and the others. On the school bus, Mo Jingting withdrew her smile and calmed down. She was in a daze for a while. She picked up her phone and checked the name Xianxia. Then she asked a friend in the circle of Jianghu, "Do you know which senior in Shushan study Xianxia is a disciple of?" Xianxia? Her surname is Yan. I have never heard of her. Let me ask for you. The friend didn't know either. After a few minutes he said solemnly, "She is the granddaughter of the grand elders of Shushan study, Heaven-leaning sword Ji Jianzhang and Seven Luminary Star, Do Ning." Heaven-leaning sword? Seven Luminary Star. Mo Jingting's pupils shrank. Her wrist shook and the phone fell to the ground. After taking a walk by the lake, Lu Qing watched Xianxia enter the third dormitory with satisfaction. Then he returned to the dormitory in the dark. He happened to see Qin Mo and old Xiao in the living room discussing the concert tomorrow night. Here are the signatures you asked for." He smiled and handed over 2 pieces of sticky notes. "Autograph?" Old Xiao took a look and blurted out in surprise, "Jingting's autograph so soon?" Qin Mo, on the other hand, thought deeper and asked in surprise, "You went to see her? How could you ask for her autograph if you haven't seen her?" "She is my martial niece. Since she is in Songqing, I have to entertain her. Ku and I just treated her to a meal." Lu Qing answered frankly. "Master Cheng, how could you forget to take me?" Qin Mo looked sad and angry. Qiao Zhigao was also surprised and regretful. "I once had such a good opportunity in front of me, but I actually missed it just like that. I don't want to be disturbed." Lu Qing pushed the reason to Mo Jingting and took out 2 VIP tickets. "She gave them to you. Take them. The seats are better. Then I won't stand on ceremony. I will kneel to you later. Please accept my kneel." Qiao Zhigao was not pretentious. Qin Mo was first happy and then angry. "If I knew you had them, I wouldn't have been scammed by that scalper. Damn it, do you want to know how much he sold me?" "How much?" Money was not the point. The point was the tone. "I don't want to know at all." Lu Qing laughed and said, "You can ask Talker and Chang if they want your tickets." Another day passed. In the evening, Lu Qing issued a certificate in the name of the club and bought a ticket to the old campus. He took Xianxia, Qiao Zhigao, Qin Mo, Zhao Chang and Kai Zhongming to Mo Jingting's concert. What a rare experience of skipping class. Xianxia looked out of the window at the teaching building behind her. She was a little emotional and a little excited to do bad things. It's all because of Cheng. Lu Qing leaned over and hugged her waist. He deliberately reminded her, "You will definitely be discovered if you skip class. How can the teacher not notice when there is a bright spot missing in the classroom? Unlike me, the teacher can't tell the difference when there are too many people. This is the disadvantage of being good-looking." Xianxia hit him lightly. "I'm not stupid. I've already written the leave request. Don't worry. Thank you." She had asked Ru to help her hand in the leave request. She believed that the kind teacher would not say anything. Besides, it was not a professional class. This is the advantage of being good-looking. Outside the Songqing Martial Arts Stadium, there were crowds of people. Some were selling tickets, flowers and light sticks. Xianxia had only participated in one fan gathering, so she had never experienced such an occasion before. She was quite excited. She looked around and walked around wanting to buy and try everything just like a child. Ching, let's buy some light sticks. How can we not wave them at the concert? Ching, that cake looks delicious. Ching, follow me closely. If you get lost, I won't care about you." Lu Qing held the girl's hand with a loving smile. He let her wander around and taste all kinds of junk food with her. The concert was not the point. The point was the date. When they were about to enter the stadium, a kid selling flowers came to Lu Qing and said, Brother, buy a bunch of flowers for sister. She's so beautiful." Hearing his words, Lu Qing was immediately tempted. He planned to take out his wallet and buy a few. At this time, Xianxia pursed her lips and held his wrist. "No, I don't like this kind of flowers. We're about to enter the stadium. Let's go." With Kochian's insistence, Lu Qing put away his thoughts and walked forward quickly. He got rid of the kid and asked in a low voice, What's wrong? Although it's a little expensive, he's right. You're so beautiful. You should have flowers to set you off. Xianxia puffed up her cheeks and said, they take advantage of men's heroic mentality. Humph, I don't like others to treat you like a sucker. She acted like a tigress protecting her cub. Lu Cheng felt warm in his heart and smiled even more. In the concert, Mo Jingting did not cause any trouble. She did her job as a singer. Lu Cheng and Xianxia were familiar with many of her songs. They sang along from time to time, waved their light sticks, or recorded a video as a souvenir. The two of them enjoyed themselves and were having a great time. Your face is so big. My face looks smaller when I take a selfie with you. After the concert, Xianxia walked out of the stadium. She took out her phone and looked at the photo of them while breathing in the cold night wind. It's small to begin with. Lu Cheng spread his fingers and covered Xianxia's face to make a comparison. He looked around, coughed and said, that's right. At this time the school bus has already stopped. Old Xiao said he's going to stay at Qin Mo's house for the night. Are we going to stay out tonight too? This was what he had been thinking and looking forward to since he decided to come to the concert. Yeah. Xianxia nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Then you should book a car. What kind of answer is this? Lu Cheng was stunned. Xianxia, you don't play by the rules. What's wrong? We can still go back at this time. It's still too early to turn off the lights. Xianxia blinked, her eyes clear. Okay. Lu Cheng put away his distracting thoughts and booked a car. He muttered in his heart, I hate online car hailing. Although there were many people who wanted to take a taxi after the concert, and although Lu Cheng was silently praying that no one would respond, Ko Qian's luck was unbeatable. In a few minutes, a driver took the order. It was a long way to the new campus of Songqing University, so it cost a lot. What should we do? I'm a little excited thinking about climbing over the wall to enter the school. While waiting for the car, Xianxia held both of Lu Cheng's hands and laughed excitedly. So far, I haven't done such a bad thing. Seeing her blushing face and sparkling eyes, Lu Cheng's regret and disappointment disappeared. He laughed in a low voice and said, we're a duo doing bad things. It seemed to be quite interesting to do bad things with a fairy. The car was fast at night. Half an hour later, under the bright moon in the sky, Lu Cheng led Xianxia to a surveillance blind spot. Facing the high guardrail, he chuckled and said, I'll go up first. I'll pull you up later. Yes. Xianxia nodded solemnly, her eyes sparkling. Lu Cheng supported himself with his hands and feet. Like a big bird, he steadily landed on the top of the guardrail and didn't move an inch. He bent down, held Xianxia's outstretched hands, and pulled them up when she used her strength to push the guardrail. Xianxia soared into the air and stood firm. She looked left and right and sighed with emotion. It's so fun. She stepped forward happily, slightly opened her arms and walked on the balance beam. Her feet staggered on the guardrail as she moved forward. It seemed to be wobbly, but in fact it was very stable. Lu Cheng put one hand in his pocket and followed behind her. The girl's beautiful back, shiny black hair, lively posture, and the bright moon in the sky reflected each other, shining into his heart. He memorized the scene carefully, then smiled and stepped hard on his left foot. Xianxia was about to change her footsteps when the guardrail suddenly shook. She lost her center of gravity and was about to fall. She didn't scream, but subconsciously moved her spine and pulled her muscles, trying to stand up straight. At this moment, she felt an arm around her waist and was easily pulled back into a familiar embrace. You're so naughty. Xianxia woke up and hit Lu Cheng with annoyance, amusement and excitement. However, before she finished her words, her lips were sealed. Xianxia glanced at the ground on both sides of the guardrail. She slowly closed her eyes like she was in a dream and hugged Lu Cheng back. A cloud floated in the sky, temporarily covering the moon. Xianxia walked briskly into the dormitory. She stopped outside and touched her face to make sure the flush had faded. Then she pushed the door and entered. Hey Ku, why are you back? Li Liantong turned her head in surprise. Why can't I come back? Xianxia was confused. If you go to a concert, you'll definitely miss the night school bus. At this time, the men will suggest to stay in a hotel for a night and come back the next day. Well, they'll get 2 rooms first and then shamelessly stay in the girls' dormitory, saying something like, I'll hug you to sleep, I won't do anything. Oh. Li Liantong was getting dirtier as she spoke. Stop. Xianxia blushed and immediately interrupted her. Don't be so dirty-minded. Speaking of this, she suddenly remembered that Lu Cheng deliberately mentioned that there was no school bus and that old Xiao and the others would not come back at night. He doesn't want me to come back? No wonder his reaction was a bit strange. Li Liantong looked at her amusedly and asked, "Didn't your Cheng have this intention?" "That's impossible. He said there was no school bus." Yanjika blushed and answered shyly. Hey, what did you say?" Li Liantong and Shi Xiangyang were all interested. I said book a special bus." Yanjika turned her head and looked to the side. Book a special bus, book a special bus. Aha, your answer is perfect. I admire you." Li Liantong held her belly and laughed, losing her image. Shi Xiangyang and Zhong Yanru were also pounding the bed and leaning on the table. Yanjika was embarrassed by their laughter and couldn't help but secretly gnash her teeth. I didn't understand what he was trying to say. I just suggested the most convenient and simplest way. It's all because of Cheng. I've become stupid co. Chapter 322. In the boys' dormitory, Lu Qing laid on the bed after washing up. He stared at the ceiling and couldn't hide his smile as he recalled the scene of Yanjika swaying on the railing, her expression of anger and happiness after being frightened, the bright moon, her warm response, and everything else that was like a poem. Not being able to abduct Ku into staying out all night didn't seem to be a bad thing. What was lost at the swings, what was gained at the swings. It was a blessing in disguise. He only regretted that he was so intoxicated that he forgot to take a picture. In the small dormitory, Zhang Jingye turned on the computer, typing codes and checking for errors. Zhao Chang and Qiu Zhigao stayed in Qin Mo's house. The whole atmosphere was quiet and harmonious, with only the sound of typing coming from time to time. Lu Qing first complained to Ko Qian that he regretted not taking a picture of her doing bad things, then opened Weibo and prepared to post something. Well, from Ku's clear eyes and reaction at that time, she really didn't know what I meant by missing the school bus and old Qiu staying out all night. Should I ask a question? How can I better hint to my girlfriend? Or should I beat around the bush and use some other methods? After all, I don't have the face to say this kind of thing directly. Lu Qing thought for a minute and posted on Weibo, should I hate or be grateful for the closed-door management of the school? After clicking the send button, he suddenly realized that it was not only Ku who followed his Weibo, but also an army of 100,000 onlookers. Damn it, I'm a big V but I don't have this awareness and self-awareness. He read it carefully and didn't find anything that crossed the line, so he didn't bother to delete it. He even thought, what's wrong with me posting a Weibo to show my affection with my girlfriend? Why should I care about other people's opinions? Collecting his thoughts, he switched to QQ and pretended to say casually to Yanjika, I just posted on Weibo. Don't tell me it's about my bad deeds. Yanjika sent a dumbfounded emoji. She also regretted that Lu Qing didn't take a picture of her acting like a child. But after thinking about it, she didn't care. There were always some regrets in life as long as she didn't forget them in her mind. Lu Qing sent a laughing and crying emoji. Why? I know you don't like to show off your affection in front of so many people. Sister, you're such a good girl. Yanjika sent a smirk emoji. Let me see what you posted. She opened Weibo, refreshed the page and swiped a few times. Then she saw Lu Cheng's lament. What is this perverted orange hinting at? Yanjika turned over on the bed with the phone in her hand and scolded him silently. If it wasn't for Dirty Tong's reminder, I really wouldn't have understood what he was trying to say. Yanjika rolled her eyes and gritted her teeth, made a comment. Lu Qing was also refreshing the interface. He was surprised to find that many people had forwarded and commented on his post. Everyone seemed to be quite interested in this topic. You won't ask this question after you've tried the herding type of management? This is King awesome. Even if there is no closed management, there are dormitories that lock the door, turn off the lights and cut off the internet. Little comrade, the road ahead is long, so don't worry about it. Back in the days, because of the closed management and the internet was not allowed, I jumped over the wall and broke one of my arms in order to go to the internet cafe. Damn, I exposed my age. After scrolling through more than 10 posts, he found a familiar name, Xu Rui of Songqing TV station. She said, should I make a news article about this? The title should be, Shocking. The leader of a university's martial arts club criticizes the management of the school. Lu Qing almost burst out laughing. He replied, you're not good enough for a headline. It should be, shocking. Closed management forces out the evil of human nature. He scrolled quickly with his thumb. He didn't read the rest of the content because he wanted to find his little fairy's reply first. Not long after, he saw don't drink with a sword sent a dog head emoji. What are you talking about? I don't understand why. She seems to have understood a little. Lu Qing smiled. Just as he was about to say something on QQ, he saw Ku say, many of the replies to your Weibo post are very funny. You should go and take a look. Lu Qing switched back to Weibo and browsed through the previous comments. Unparalleled Dragon King said, "With your skills, what's the difference between closed management and closed management? The difference is huge. Single dog, you don't understand." Lu Qing complained in his heart and continued scrolling. He knew that Unparalleled Dragon King was an otaku and a martial arts fanatic. Even though he had studied abroad, he didn't have a girlfriend. Brahmin001 said, "A day student in junior high school doesn't understand." Eternal Nightfall sent a smile through tears emoji. "It doesn't make any difference to me. I don't get out of bed when I don't have class. Well, except for going to the bathroom." After a few familiar IDs, there were already dozens of comments. At that time we closed management and shut off the internet. We prepared a lot of things just to watch a foreign martial arts competition in the early hours of the morning. Finally we saw the live broadcast in the corridor. Maybe we were a little excited and disturbed some of our students. Some of them got up in anger and were ready to argue with us. But when they saw that there were more than 20 shirtless strong men on our side, they retreated silently. Now that I think about it, I'm quite sorry. Haha, I've done the same thing. After the lights were off, I made a fuss in the dormitory and disturbed the guy on the upper bunk. He came down and beat me up. Upstairs, why do you say it so casually? You didn't even get angry when you were beaten up. What happened later? Later, shy emoji, we were together. Lu Qing finally laughed out loud. This is King a joke. He scrolled down again and saw a lot of comments. He laughed and felt a little worried at the same time. Could it be that my future development path is the most funny one in the martial arts world? The one with the best fighting skills? In the cheerful atmosphere, Lu Qing gradually felt sleepy. He said goodnight to xianxia and fell into a dreamless sleep on time. The next morning, Lu Qing did his morning exercises as usual. While he was running to squeeze out his stamina, he jumped over the railing on a whim and rushed to the nearby town. He bought Old Dong's sweet oil fruit and soup dumplings and soy milk from the nearby store that Zhang Jingye and his girlfriend couldn't stop praising. Carrying breakfast, he sent it to xianxia, which made her surprised and happy. She tactfully looked at him. After eating, they walked hand in hand to the martial arts arena. They found that Kai Zongming had already arrived and was yawning. "Didn't sleep well last night? Can't recognize the bed?" Lu Qing asked, amused. At this time, xianxia took her toiletries and walked into the female locker room. Kai Zongming shook his head. "Don't mention it. I had a nightmare. I was sleeping well at first, but when I woke up I couldn't sleep anymore." "What kind of nightmare?" Lu Qing asked with great interest. Kai Zongming said with a face full of lingering fear, "I dreamt that I was competing on the stage and I was the first one to go on the stage. When I had time to talk, I was so happy that I used all my skills and talked a lot. When I was done, I realized that the other party didn't even respond to me. He wasn't affected at all. I was so angry. When I took a closer look, guess what? My opponent was Lin K. I met Lin K during the conversation time. This is King scary, too scary?" Lu Qing was a little dumbfounded. Then he said with a taut face, "Talker, do you think I will sympathize with you? I even want to laugh. Haha, your nightmare is so funny. You don't understand that kind of fear." Kai Zongming shook his finger. Just when Lu Qing was about to laugh, Lin K walked in. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. It was Friday without any wind or waves. Since the second round of group competition on December 1st was not strong, it was his turn to rest. Lu Qing didn't hold back his cultivation and was not afraid of affecting the battle. At the end of the day, Geezer sure cleared his throat and said, "Brat, do you have anything to do tonight? If you have anything, cancel it." "No, master." "What's up?" Lu Qing asked in confusion. In his class schedule this semester, except for Saturday and Sunday afternoons, there were only Friday and Saturday evenings free. The mornings were reserved for special training. xianxia's class was even more difficult. She had a professional class on Friday evenings. There were few people, so it was not convenient for Lu Qing to sneak in. Geezer sure coughed a few times and said, "My old friends have made some progress in the research of the Longhu Immortal and sorted out many things about cultivation. They plan to explore the Longhu Villa in the Zhaoshan Lake again to find some useful traces. You go with me to have a look. You can get in touch with them and listen to them. See if you can learn anything. There is no danger there anymore. Everything that needs to be cleaned has been cleaned up." Lu Qing had been thinking about similar things since he found out that his master had old injuries. He wondered when his master's old friends would make some progress. So he answered without hesitation, "Okay." Geezer sure nodded slightly. "Talk less and listen more. Try not to interrupt. There is an old guy with a bad temper. I'm not afraid of him, but I don't want to argue with him. Yes, master. Lu Qing remembered the advice carefully. He planned to be his master's shadow at night. He would not speak unless asked by other seniors. Chapter 323. In the evening, Lu Qing stayed with xianxia until the bell rang. Then he went to the teacher's dormitory. After waiting for a while, he finally saw his master. Let's go. They're almost at Xiaoshan Lake. Xianxia shook his head as if he had just woken up. How do we get there? Lu Qing asked subconsciously. In his opinion, a physical invulnerability expert should have a different way of traveling. Xianxia stared at him. By running, of course. Don't you have good stamina and don't get tired? Lu Qing was stunned. He was really thinking about running. Xiaoshan Lake was a little far, but it was still okay. Seeing his thoughtful expression, Xianxia scolded him with a smile. What are you thinking about? Call a taxi. You stinking brat, you may not be afraid of being tired, but your master is at least old. Calling a taxi. Lu Qing looked at the sky helplessly. He took out his phone and opened the app. Is this the way a physical invulnerability expert travels? After a while, they jumped over the railing, left the campus, and got into the taxi. Going to Xiaoshan Lake so late at night? The taxi driver asked nervously. Xiaoshan Lake was a tourist spot. After the sun went down, there would be few people there. At this moment, countless cases of taxi drivers being robbed and killed by passengers in secluded places flashed through his mind. He was a little scared and regretted taking the taxi. Sigh, if it wasn't on the way home, I wouldn't have taken the taxi. He pretended to play with the navigation and turned off the flash. He secretly took a picture of the back seat and planned to send it to his wife. He told her that if he went missing, these two people would be the murderers. After typing the message and clicking send, he quickly switched back to the navigation page. In the process, he sent the latest picture without looking at it carefully. Lu Qing's senses were so sharp that he had already noticed the driver's abnormality. He didn't care about it and just found it funny. He saw his master closing his eyes to rest, so he followed suit and kept himself in the best state. The car arrived at Xiaoshan Lake in silence. Lu Qing opened his eyes and saw the gentle ripples of the lake reflecting the moonlight. It was peaceful and tranquil. Compared to the daytime, it had a tranquil beauty that reminded him of the past. And in the middle of the lake was a pitch-black island. It was like a desolate beast lying on the surface of the water. Thank you, said Lu Qing politely. He pushed open the door and got out of the car. After Xianxia got out of the car and closed the door behind him, the driver finally heaved a sigh of relief. He felt as if he had been liberated from all the depression he had accumulated before. He waved at Lu Qing and Xianxia, pulled the lever, reversed the car, and turned the steering wheel, preparing to leave quickly. Ding. At this moment, Lu Qing heard the sound of money being deducted and walked to the lakeside with Xianxia. Master, where are those seniors? He looked around but didn't see anyone else. On the island. Xianxia reached out and grabbed his shoulder. With a leap, he jumped directly into the lake. Tragic. He didn't bring any change of clothes. This inexplicable thought popped into his mind subconsciously. Just as he was about to fall into the water, he found that his feet were hard to the touch, as if he was stepping on the ground. He hurriedly lowered his head to take a look, only to see sparkling and translucent light reflected in his eyes. With his master's feet as the center, the lake with a radius of dozens of centimeters had formed a thick layer of ice. Let's go. Xianxia held Lu Qing's shoulder so that he wouldn't put all his weight on the ice. As they walked, the surface of the lake froze all the way, as if they had opened up a path to the island. After reversing the car and driving for dozens of meters, the driver calmed down and suddenly felt another doubt in his mind. Why did this old man and young man come to Xiaoshan Lake? Fishing? They didn't bring fishing gear. Looking for people? They didn't go to the house over there. Puzzled and curious, the driver couldn't help but look at the rearview mirror, only to find that the two passengers just now were gone. Gone? He inexplicably shivered, stepped on the brake, changed gears, pulled the lever, pressed down the window, stuck his head out and looked back at the lakeside. The lakeside was quiet and the moonlight was bright. Two vague figures walked on the water, farther and farther away until they were out of sight. Oh my God! The driver suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. He sat back and closed the window, hearing his heart beating fast. Just then his phone rang. It was from his wife. Hello? He answered instinctively, panting. His wife was surprised and confused. What did you mean by sending me that picture? Are you okay? I just saw the message after I calmed the kids down. Is there something wrong with the picture? The driver blurted out, suddenly feeling cold all over. You told me to remember the faces of the two people in the picture, But where are they? His wife was puzzled. With a clatter, the driver's phone fell beside the brakes. He picked it up, hung up the call and switched to WeChat. He carefully looked at the picture he sent to his wife, only to see snowflakes swirling in the back seat like a whirlpool. Other than that, it was empty. There were no passengers. Bam! His phone fell to the ground again. He didn't have time to pick it up. He pushed the gear, released the brake, put down the lever and started the car as if he was running for his life. Oh my God, Ghost. Really, Ghost? I won't laugh at my wife's superstition anymore. He was so nervous that he almost drove the car into a ditch several times. Fortunately, there were few cars on the road at night and it was close to home, so he arrived at the community safely. After reversing the car 7 or 8 times, he finally parked the car crookedly. Rushing home, the first thing he said to his wife was, "Hurry up, hang the heavenly primogenitor statue you brought back, hang it in the master bedroom." On the island in the middle of the lake, Lu Qing followed Xianxia to a cliff and saw 2 figures standing there. "Just the 2 of you?" Xianxia raised his eyebrows, took out a small wine bottle and drank a mouthful. One of the figures looked like a middle-aged man with deep eye sockets, a high nose bridge, black hair mixed with a few strands of silver, and deep eyes that seemed to hide a flame. He said indifferently, "It's nothing important, just the 2 of us are enough." Xianxia clicked his tongue, pointed at him and introduced him to Lu Qing. "This old guy is like me. He's not well known and often travels outside. When he was young he was quite creative. He combined several unique skills of the Plague sect into the Fire sect's martial arts. He compared himself to the Lord of Fire Virtue and named himself the Sinful Lord of Fire Virtue. Well, he didn't study much and only knew how to read. He didn't know what the virtue of Fire Virtue actually meant, so he gave it a random name. Later he felt it didn't sound good, so he changed it and called himself the Sinful Lord of Fire or the Divine Enchanting Flame. Damn, master, didn't we agree not to provoke him because he has a bad temper? Lu Qing was shocked by his master's mean words. He hurriedly saluted with his hands folded and called him senior. Divine Enchanter of Sinful Fire snorted and didn't say anything, as if he was used to Xianxia's sarcastic remarks. Xianxia didn't continue to provoke him but pointed to the other figure. "I don't think I need to introduce her, you should know her." Of course he knew her. She was a mighty one who had been famous for 30 years. Xinghai, Queen of Thought. Lu Qing held back his excitement and saluted respectfully. "Greetings, Senior Fei." Queen of Thought, Fei Dan was in her 50s and was one of the oldest physical invulnerability experts active in the top professional competitions. She was a peerless figure in the same generation as Taoist sword Wuxiao of Shushan study. So far, she had won 20 titles and was nicknamed King of Thought or Queen of Thought. In recent years, as she grew older, her martial arts became more and more refined, and her strength decreased. She lost more than she won against Dragon King and Warrior Sage. In addition, she could be considered as the actual host of the Xinghai Club. The club had a mysterious background and a variety of kung fu. There was half of the secret art of the Water sect, the Earth divine art of the non-fighting sect, and the Tai Chi derived from the Taoist sect. Fei Dan was less than 1.7 meters tall, but she still looked like she was in her 30s. Her temperament was quite elegant. After Lu Qing finished the salute, she laughed and said, "Little friend, are you interested in joining the Xinghai Club after graduation?" Lu Qing was speechless and didn't know how to answer. Ahem. Xianxia interrupted, "Don't tempt him. He worships Dragon King, and his wife is from Shushan study. He won't join Xinghai Club. Brat, let me tell you, she may be gentle and well-mannered now, but she used to have a fiery temper. Can't you keep your mouth shut?" Queen of Thought shook her head and laughed, interrupting Xianxia's nagging. "Let's go down." As she spoke, the surface of her body flashed and expanded into a ball, enveloping them. Lu Qing looked around curiously and saw that the surface of the ball was transparent and thin, as if it was made of water. "Jump." Fei Dan's voice drilled into his ears. Lu Qing didn't hesitate and jumped off the cliff. The transparent ball of water swayed and floated lightly. Carrying them, they slowly landed on the surface of the water and sank. The surroundings were getting darker and darker. Lu Qing looked around and couldn't believe that he was in Zhaoshan Lake. He breathed smoothly and didn't feel the water pressure or humidity. After falling for a while, he finally touched the ground and arrived at the bottom of the lake. Queen of Thought, Divine Enchanter of Sin Flame and Xianxia walked dozens of meters around the bottom of the island and found a narrow crack in the rock wall. From afar it looked like a crack of a door. Lu Qing followed his master's advice and remained silent. He spoke less and listened more. At this moment, Divine Enchanter of Sin Flame shook his wrist and threw out a green flame. It passed through the surface of the water ball and fell on the thin crack, burning silently. As it burned, a muffled sound was heard. The island shook and the thin crack cracked open, retreating backward. It was really a crack of a door. When the door opened, a stone staircase was revealed. The outside was water and the inside was empty, as if there was an invisible force separating the inside from the outside. As the waves flashed, the water ball floated into the abode and turned into bubbles. Lu Qing looked around and didn't feel any difficulty in breathing. The surroundings were clean and fresh, and even a breeze was blowing. He calmed down and followed his master and the others up the stone staircase. He also spared some energy to observe the Jindan to see if it would change in the original owner's mansion. Chapter 324. Going up the stairs and into the main hall, Lu Qing could see the general appearance of the abode. It was divided into the elixir room, library, silence room and reception hall. Small as it was, it had everything. There was a glimmer on the wall which made things visible to the naked eye. Looking at the dark, lonely and gloomy abode, Lu Qing shivered inexplicably. He recalled an archaeological program he had watched before. Someone's tomb had its own layout, as if it was his home when he was alive, but it was isolated from the outside world. Geezer sure seemed to have guessed that he would have such thoughts. He coughed twice and said, "I don't know what these cultivators are thinking. Some of them built their cave abodes like tombs. They have to be at the bottom of some lake or mountain. We call it dark. It's not that there's no light. They have their own layout with sunlight and moonlight. It's bright during the day and quiet at night. It's more natural and environmentally friendly." Queen of Thought, Fei Dan smiled. They had already explored this place and looted it. This time their purpose was clear. They talked as they walked to the silence room, which was equivalent to the master bedroom. From the words of the divine enchanter of Sin Flame and Queen of Thought, Lu Qing vaguely grasped the difference between cultivation and martial arts. The latter first trained the body, supplemented by visualization, and then after finding and condensing the will, it involved the spirit so that it could be integrated with the qi, blood, and force. The former started with the spirit, with the help of external objects, to train the body. Although the body was also cultivated, it was only temporarily used as a supplement. It was only until the 7th cycle and 9th cycle, when the qi was condensed into the dan, that there was a balance. As for the more detailed and profound content, firstly, Queen of Thought and Queen of Thought didn't mention much due to the lack of time. Secondly, Lu Qing didn't understand the few sentences that were mentioned occasionally. The silence room was simple, with only a stone bed and a stone table. It was completely different from the abode of cultivation that Lu Qing imagined. It should be on the wall. Queen of Thought looked around and said elegantly and confidently, "On the wall? What are they looking for?" Lu Qing looked around and followed them. But due to the dim light he couldn't see anything. The divine enchanter of Sin Flame replied in a muffled voice, "I felt that there was something missing. You were too impatient." A dark green flame leaped out from his palm and illuminated the quiet room. Everything was covered in a flowing dim light, which made it even more terrifying. Lu Qing followed behind Geezer. He didn't interrupt or walk around randomly. He just looked around, taking in every drop of the wall. However, there were only mottled remnants of the passage of time. "What are you waiting for? Do you want to spend the night here?" Geezer took a sip of his wine and cheekily yelled, as if he was just a bystander who had come to watch the show. "Humph." The divine enchanter of Sin Flame flicked his wrist and a green flame flew out. It split into 8 flames in the air and shot in all directions, hitting the stone wall. A strange buzzing sound was heard, and a ripple appeared on the wall. Glittering in crimson light intertwined, and 9 ancient words appeared: Lin Bing Do Zhijie Zhen Lai Qian Xing. They were either dim, damaged or incomplete, only the Bing, I, and Qian were in good condition, each with their own unique charm. "Sure enough there is." Fei Dan sighed, implying something else. "This is the 9 words formula of Hao Yin Taoism." Geezer didn't forget his silly disciple and introduced it to him. Lu Qing had seen the 9 words and the corresponding revisions in novels, cartoons, and some previously collected materials about cultivation, so he was familiar with them. However, he was curious as to why the Queen of Thought and the divine enchanter of Sin Flame would explore the Longhu Villa again in search of the well-known 9 words formula. While he was thinking, Geezer continued, "These are not ordinary goods. The 9 words formula of Hao Yin Taoism is similar to the Sanskrit mantra of 6 syllables of Daxing Temple. Brat, you've encountered the formula of hum, so you should know the function of these words, right? So you can get different effects by just thinking about them?" Lu Qing asked tentatively. Geezer scolded with a smile, What's the use of just thinking about them? You need to use the corresponding visualization to make them work. I know. I'm not stupid. Lu Qing didn't dare to talk back to his master. The Queen of Thought, Fei Dan said with a smile, and you have to pronounce them according to their original pronunciation. You can't use the current pronunciation, otherwise it'll be useless no matter how hard you pronounce them. For example, the word confrontation, you should pronounce it. Speaking of this, her face turned serious. Her chest vibrated and her vocal cords resonated. She uttered a strange pronunciation, confrontation. The sound reverberated as if pouring into Lu Cheng's ears from all directions. He suddenly felt that the jindan in his lower abdomen was turning. The stars seemed to be shifting and rippling as if something was about to appear. However, all of this was so weak that it disappeared in the blink of an eye. It was as if it lacked a stronger stimulus and influence. The confrontation formula or the 9 words formula could trigger changes in the jindan. Lu Qing was shocked and then delighted. He felt that this trip wasn't in vain. He quickly imitated the pronunciation of the Queen of Thought and repeated it. You're right. Confrontation. This time, the nebula-like jindan was silent and didn't respond. Instead, the Queen of Thought laughed, the confrontation formula with the accent of Xing province. Damn. Lu Qing was so ashamed that he almost looked up. You're so interested. I'll organize the 9 words formula and send it to your master. But it's useless without the corresponding visualization method. Fei Dan sighed softly and turned to Geezer Shi. After organizing and studying the legacy of the Longhu immortal, we found that the 9 words formula is not only a secret method, but also a training method. It uses the secret of sound to influence the body and produce incredible effects. The reason why the Longhu immortal is ranked among the top cultivators is that he incorporated the 9 words formula into his own cultivation. We also hope to use them to break through the barrier between martial arts and cultivation and find a way to break through the barrier. Sai will be old if we don't take the risk. Finding traces of the 9 words formula in the Longhu villa confirmed their research and speculation on the Longhu immortal's cultivation method. Then where is the corresponding visualization method? Lu Qing almost blurted out. Fortunately, he remembered his master's reminder that silence was golden. The confrontation formula just now only caused a few ripples in the jindan because of the lack of a visualization method, right? Geezer Shi glanced at him and guessed what was on his mind. He smiled and said, that's right. He smiled and said, you've gained a lot this time. The 9 words formula handwritten by the Longhu immortal contains the corresponding essence and charm. It's equivalent to a visualization diagram that only lacks the details. Yes, it's not difficult to master it after some time. But only 3 of them are complete. The divine enchanter of Sin Flame's tone softened a lot, with a hint of regret. Except for the 3 words army, swordsman, and forwarding, the rest of the charm was gone. So what? The Longhu immortal is not the only one who knows the 9 words formula. Geezer Shi sneered. Were the 3 words themselves a visualization diagram? Lu Qing was surprised and hurriedly looked over. He felt that the lines were thick and colorful, as if they were communicating with the deepest and most incomprehensible mystery of the world. Among them the word army was sharp, the word swordsman was thick, and the word forwarding was unstoppable. While Lu Qing was absorbed in memorizing and comprehending, the divine enchanter of Sin Flame stepped forward and patted the wall with his 5 fingers open. Whoosh, whoosh. Green flames spurted out from the inside, burning away the crisscrossing crystal and crimson. The 3 words army, swordsman, and forwarding were cut off. The 3 pieces of stone flew neatly into Queen of Thought's hand and landed in her palm. This telekinesis, this ability to turn thoughts into reality, is much more powerful than Lu Xuanzhen's supernatural ability. Lu Qing sighed to himself and resisted the urge to stop her from taking the 3 pieces of stone away. After leaving the cave and returning to the lakeside, Lu Qing watched the divine enchanter of Sin Flame and the Queen of Thought disappear. He lowered his voice and said to Geezer Shi, Master, the 9 words formula seems to be able to affect. Before he could finish, Geezer Shi suddenly interrupted him. It can affect the legacy of the Longhu immortal in your body? Yes. Lu Qing nodded hard. That's right. After confirming, he added, it's not enough to just rely on the ancient sounds. There needs to be a corresponding visualization method. I'll ask for a rubbing for them later. Although the effect will be much worse, it's not like there's nothing. You can try it first and make sure it has a good effect. Geezer Shi said rubbing instead of rubbing. Thank you, master. Lu Qing replied happily. What a good master from China. There's finally hope to solve the mystery of the Jindan of the Longhu immortal. He took out his phone and found that the signal was back. He saw Xianxia's stretching body emoji and said, "It's finally time for recess. This teacher is so fast every time. He can go on for dozens of pages in one class. Just listening to the class is tiring." Lu Qing looked at the time and found that only 10 minutes had passed since the last reply. It was really a short adventure. It was not as thrilling and exciting as he had imagined. "I took some time to go on an adventure," he replied to Xianxia with a snickering smile, and opened the app to book a ride back. He waited and waited. Before Xianxia took the time to reply, no one had accepted the order. "Then I'll go first. You can run back by yourself." Geezer sure waved his hand casually and said while trying not to laugh, "A master, you won't take me?" Lu Qing opened his mouth wide. He couldn't believe that this was a good master from China. Ahem. Geezer sure coughed deliberately. "I have an old injury. I can walk by myself, but I can't take you with me. Anyway, you have good stamina. You can run by yourself." Okay. Lu Qing accepted the explanation. Geezer sure didn't hesitate. He stepped forward and disappeared into the darkness in the distance. Every time he walked, he had to rest for a while. And every time he rested, he was overjoyed. He felt that he had finally tricked that brat. "You have good stamina, don't you? Then you can run. Run." Lu Qing calmed himself down and ran in the night. He looked at the GPS on his phone and ran toward the new campus of Songqing University. On the way, Xianxia replied with a 10-face emoji. "Adventure? I feel that I've become stupid. Why can't I understand?" Since it involved other people's secrets, Lu Qing didn't go into details. "There's a mansion of cultivators nearby. The kind that has been explored. My master wants to take me there to see it. You know about cultivators, right?" "I know. Xuxian study has a lot of information on this. The earliest cultivators were born among the Taoist warriors." Xianxia replied with an emoji scratching its chin in deep thought. "You're still in the cave residence? Since when do you have a mobile signal in the cave of cultivators? Is it really global?" "No, I'm on my way back. I ran back." Lu Qing replied with a grief and anger, thinking about what Coach Yen said. "Maybe I can get more information about cultivators from Xuxian study in the future." Chapter 325. Lu Qing ran back to the new campus of Songqing University smoothly and picked up Xianxia after class. Due to the long distance, he was panting and sweating, which made Xianxia laugh secretly and feel sorry for him. She took out a tissue for him to wipe his forehead and said, "Don't go for a walk today. Go get a bottle of hot water and take a bath in the dormitory." Xianxia nodded and said, "Don't go for a walk today." In the early winter, taking a cold shower was not a challenge for Lu Qing, but it was not comfortable. "It's okay. Since I got old Shio's autograph and gave him a VIP ticket, my hot water is guaranteed every day." Seeing the light of the Jindan, Lu Qing was in a good mood and wanted to take Xianxia to the lakeside to share his joy. Xianxia wrinkled her nose and pretended to be disgusted. "You're so sweaty." Although she said that, she did not break away from Lu Qing's hand and followed him to the lakeside. She smiled and looked around. "Although I'm sweaty, I'm actually not that tired. Running to improve my stamina is getting less and less effective for me, unless I'm willing to spend the whole morning or afternoon." Lu Qing sighed and followed the topic. "How did an inhuman dance stage mighty one train to such a level?" "Are you showing off?" "You're showing off, right?" Xianxia, who was born with a deficiency and whose physique was worse than other martial artists of the same level, rolled her eyes and gave him a look of both happiness and anger. She showed her white teeth and showed a fierce look. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. He reached out and gently pinched the girl's nose. He said excitedly, "I'm thinking of a different way to train my physical strength. My master said that he's going to give me some sorted cultivation materials, as well as a rubbing of the 3 words of the 9 words formula. So I hope I can find something useful by analogy. Maybe it can even help me improve my physical fitness." What he wanted to say was that cultivation focused on spirit first and then body training. Maybe there was a way to make up for Xianxia's congenital deficiency. Of course, this was not something that could be done by ordinary cultivation methods. Otherwise, with the accumulation of Xuxian study, her grandpa would have suggested it long ago. Therefore, Lu Qing did not mention it directly. He did not want to arouse her hope and fail. As for the 9 words formula, he didn't think it was a secret. He would use it sooner or later and he couldn't hide it from others. Xianxia's dimples showed when she heard that Lu Qing still cared about her body when he was thinking about cultivation. She said sweetly, "Why do you like to pinch my nose, mouth and face recently? Do you think I'm a child?" After saying this proudly, she said thoughtfully, 9 words formula, I heard my grandfather mention it before. Each of the 9 words has its own magic. I don't know if Shushan study has it, but even if it does, it should be incomplete. Anyway, I haven't heard of anyone practicing this secret method in the sect. She subconsciously wondered if Shushan study had the remaining part of the 9 words formula and if there was any way to help her boyfriend complete it. Does this count as a girl being extroverted? Lu Qing understood the hidden meaning behind Ku's words. He was secretly pleased, but he just chuckled and didn't tease her. Of course. If there were people in every sect who practiced it, I wouldn't only know about the 9 words formula today. He recalled the top professional matches and title matches he had watched. The two chatted as they walked. The more they walked, the more remote they became. Gradually there was no one around. They even approached the West Baron, which was still under construction. Xianxia looked around and stopped in her tracks. Pursing her lips, she looked at Lu Qing seriously, and said, This place is so remote. I thought of a saying. What saying? Lu Qing asked with a smile. Xianxia raised her chin slightly and broke into laughter. Shout until your throat breaks. No one will come to save you. Why did you steal my lines? Lu Qing burst out laughing. Shivering expression. Saturday was the last day of November. Since they had to play an away game against the Linghua University Martial Arts Club on Sunday, and it was Xianxia, Lin Hua and Lin Kei's turn to play, the girls went back to their dormitory early to rest in order to maintain the best fighting condition. Lu Qing received a call from his master as soon as he entered the 7th courtyard. Hey brat, come here. Geezer sure said concisely without explaining anything. Lu Qing was excited at once. He guessed that it was the materials of cultivation and the rubbings of the 3 words formula of army, swordsman, and qian. As expected, when he entered his master's dormitory, he was thrown a file bag. Take it back and read it carefully. Don't tell me you've mastered it tomorrow. Geezer sure teased him. This brat practiced visualization, thunder roar zen and severe warning too fast. He could only tease him like this. Then I'll tell you the day after tomorrow? Lu Qing replied with a joke. He untied the file bag and took out the materials inside. He saw a thick stack of materials related to cultivation and 3 rubbings with hidden charm. He had returned the visualization diagram of Zhu Rong Force to his master at the beginning of the semester. Okay. Come and tell me the good news the day after tomorrow if you dare. Geezer sure waved his hand indicating that Lu Qing could leave. Lu Qing carried the file bag and left the teacher's dormitory with light steps. He shared the news with Xianxia. Of course, Ko Qian had already gone to bed and didn't respond. Lu Qing couldn't hold back his excitement when he returned to his dormitory. Zhang Jingye, Zhao Chang and Qiu Zhigao hadn't returned from their dates or self-study. He first browsed through the materials of cultivation and found that the seniors of Queen of Thought didn't get the cultivation method of Longhu Immortal, but related notes and classics. He could only sort out the general idea and some specific but scattered details from them. He didn't read it carefully. He browsed to the last page and found a handwritten URL and the corresponding extraction code, followed by the words 9 words ancient sound. Queen of Thought's handwriting is so elegant and delicate. It has both form and spirit. Lu Qing envied her for a few seconds. He hurriedly downloaded the audio file and listened to it carefully several times through the phone player. Only then did he get to the point. He picked out the rubbings of the character swordsman, and observed its essence and charm. He also saw the corresponding hand gestures and explanations described in the corner of the paper. Without hand gestures it was internal training. It was the combination of the secrets of sound and mind, which had an incredible effect on the body. With hand gestures, it was a communication between the inside and outside. The secrets of sound, mind and body resonated and had an effect on the outside world. Lu Qing listened to the ancient sound of the character swordsman repeatedly. He confirmed that he had mastered the reading through the ripples in his jindan. Then he climbed onto the bed and sat cross-legged with his 5 hearts facing the sky. He tried to visualize the charm of the character swordsman. He closed his eyes and concealed his spirit and qi, obtaining a sense of tranquility without distracting thoughts. In his mind he sketched the word swordsman, stroke by stroke. However, it was not so easy to understand the charm of the word swordsman. The word swordsman appeared one after another, but they did not have that kind of profound and long meaning, let alone trigger the changes of the jindan. Lu Qing practiced again and again until he was a little tired. His thoughts began to wander and he planned to try other training methods. For example, he could use his chest and vocal cords to pronounce the ancient sound of swordsman, while he was visualizing. He wanted to see if there would be a connection between the two and create a certain charm in reverse. Boldly hypothesizing and carefully verifying was a way of thinking that Lu Qing had developed over the years. Once he had an idea, he immediately put it into practice. He visualized the character swordsman, with only a little bit of essence and charm. His chest hummed and his vocal cords vibrated. He exhaled and said, "Swordsman." The ancient sound reverberated. The Jindan in Lu Cheng's lower abdomen slightly rippled. The stars moved and his body turned slightly. At this moment, the bright and deep nebula seemed to come alive and resonated with the character swordsman, in Lu Cheng's mind. The ripples became more intense like water waves. In the water waves, the stars moved and the brilliant stars seemed to connect into hundreds of vague ancient characters. They were scattered around the character swordsman, which was full of vitality. When the character appeared, it was immediately reflected in Lu Cheng's mind, making the visualization change accordingly. After a short while, Lu Qing withdrew from the concealment of spirit and qi and recalled the feeling he had before. So he picked up the rubbing again and tried to comprehend again. This time he seemed to be very familiar with the process. In less than half an hour, he actually succeeded in visualizing the character swordsman, which was full of charm. How could this work? Lu Qing was shocked by himself. The Jindan of Longhu Immortal was indeed a combination of the 9 words formula and his cultivation method. Lu Qing exhaled and calmed his mind. He closed his eyes and visualized the thick and growing character swordsman in his mind. He exhaled again and said, "Swordsman." The visualization and the sound resonated, as if crossing the barrier between illusion and reality, triggering a mysterious and abstruse force that reverberated in Lu Cheng's body, nourishing and tempering his spirit and body. The ripples on the Jindan were even more intense. The stars moved more clearly. The hundreds of vague ancient characters finally became clear. The effect of the swordsman formula is to strengthen the spirit and stamina. Lu Qing looked at the neatly arranged quilt opposite him with joy. This could completely remove the morning exercise from his running program and slowly improve his spirit. This was exactly what he needed right now. He took out his phone and copied some of the ancient characters that he had forcibly memorized into his memo. Swordsman. Swordsman. He sat cross-legged on the bed and recited the ancient words over and over again. When it was almost 10:30, he finally finished reciting the fragmented words. Phew, if the 9 words formula is complete, I should be able to complete this manual. Lu Qing looked at his phone and couldn't understand the incomplete content. He rubbed his temples, turned to the hand gestures of the swordsman formula and began to practice external application. Swordsman. Swordsman. When Zhao Chang and Qiu Zhigao came back together, they happened to see Lu Qing sitting cross-legged on the bed and heard him, stretching his voice. "Qing, what are you doing?" Zhao Chang yawned. He was very tired from the self-study. So was Qiu Zhigao. Lu Qing smiled and didn't answer. He first tapped the bed railing lightly. Then he put one hand on his knee and the other hand made a seal. He shouted with a solemn expression, "Swordsman." The mysterious atmosphere suddenly stirred up Zhao Chang's spirit and all his sleepiness disappeared. "Why do I suddenly feel not tired?" Old Qiu looked at Lu Qing blankly. "Was it because you scared me? If you say so, then so be it." Lu Qing smiled with a hint of tiredness. That night, Zhao Chang couldn't sleep until 2 o'clock. Old Qiu was full of energy and ran 10 laps in the night. The next morning, Geezer Shi looked at Lu Qing with a smile. "How is it? Can you finish it tomorrow?" He teased again. Lu Qing coughed and said, "I'll tell you tomorrow." As a real man, he said the day after tomorrow. Never before. Chapter 326. In the afternoon, the martial arts club arrived at Linghua University in the same city. They easily defeated the martial arts club in the away game and won the second match in the group stage. Now they were out of the group stage and only needed to secure the first place so that they wouldn't have to face Shanbei University in the quarterfinals. In this match, Xianxia once again performed at the level of a professional 9th pin. Her combination of yin-yang twist and 24 blizzard strikes was quite extraordinary. Lin Hua also seized the opportunity to defeat the weakened amateur first pin. Lin K was the last to win and defeated the leading player of the opponent in 3 moves. On the way back, because of the heavy traffic on the weekend, they didn't enter the new campus until 6 o'clock and ate the delicious food in the cafeteria. After the meal, Xianxia swung her arms and sighed with emotion while taking a stroll to help with digestion. "It's really tiring to fight like this. I haven't recovered yet." She fought against Luo Ku, another professional 9th pin fighter of Linghua University. After the match, Lu Cheng planned to give her a massage to relieve her muscle fatigue. However, he had to give up because he was in someone else's locker room and Xu Rui was leading the team to shoot the material. Hearing Ku's coquettish words, Lu Cheng thought of the secret method he had just learned. He changed his mind and pretended to be joking. Let me show you a magic trick. After that, you won't be tired anymore. Liar. Xianxia rolled her eyes at him, feeling both annoyed and amused. Really? Look at my sincere eyes. Lu Cheng deliberately opened his eyes wide. Let's go that way. I'll show you. He pointed to the lawn behind the trees, which was much more secluded compared to the busy main road. What are you going to do? Xianxia was startled and asked suspiciously. It's not dark yet. Shame on you. And there are so many people on the road. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to perform a magic trick. Lu Cheng chuckled. Ku, are you sure you're not thinking about something else? No. Xianxia turned her head to deny. Her face was red and her ears were hot. In such a mood, she finally followed her boyfriend to the lawn after Lu Cheng's repeated assurances. Using a tree on the street as cover, she hid herself slightly. Change. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at Lu Cheng while gnashing her teeth. When did you learn how to perform magic? Lu Cheng chuckled. With one hand flat and the other hand forming a seal, he visualized the long and thick word, swordsman. Then he vibrated his chest and resonated his vocal cords. Sages. Xianxia shuddered, feeling that her bones, viscera, muscles and fascia were shaking inexplicably. A strange yet familiar feeling of infiltration passed in a flash. Her mouth opened little by little, forming a cute O shape. While staring blankly at Lu Cheng, she subconsciously moved her hands and feet. How is it? Are you tired? What do you think of this magic trick? Lu Cheng suppressed his complacency and asked with a smile. He looked a little tired. External use of the 9 words formula once had put a huge burden on his mind. I'm really not tired. Xianxia replied blankly. Then she suddenly realized something and raised her right hand. She blurted out in surprise and joy, You've mastered the 9 words formula? Xia formula? How was this magic? This was clearly a secret technique. The day before yesterday, Cheng had mentioned that Coach Sher would give him the rubbings of 3 of the 9 words formula. Had he already mastered it today? Wasn't this a little too unrealistic? Because of this, when Lu Cheng mentioned the magic trick to recover fatigue, Xianxia didn't associate it with the 9 words formula. Yeah, maybe it's fate. Lu Cheng was half joking and half telling the truth. It was indeed fate. Longhu Immortal had merged the 9 words formula and formed his Jin Dan, which meant that he had the key to this secret technique. Fate? Xianxia, who had always been smart, asked in confusion. Lu Cheng exhaled and said sincerely, This involves a little secret. I'll tell you all about it in the future. Okay. Xianxia smiled and didn't ask further. She thought it involved Coach Sher's secret. Lu Cheng smiled at her and suggested again, I'll try again. Feel the changes in your body carefully. Okay. Xianxia nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Lu Cheng repeated the previous process and made a hand gesture. With a serious expression, he said in a low voice, Sages. The wind blew again and swirled into a whirlpool. The dusk seemed to have deepened a little. Xianxia lowered her eyes and tried to feel it. After a minute she said, It feels like there's an external force coming from you. Well, it's not completely like that. It seems to come from a very near yet very far place. It nourishes my spirit and washes away my fatigue. That's what I felt the last time, but not this time. Lu Cheng asked thoughtfully, Then do you feel more energetic and have better stamina than when you were at your best? No. Xianxia gave an affirmative answer. In other words, the sage's formula can only recover fatigue but can't help people improve. Well, maybe it's because I've just started and haven't practiced to a high level. Lu Cheng roughly determined the current effect of the sage's formula and said with a smile, What do you think? This magic trick is good, right? Not bad, it's great. Xianxia rolled her eyes and said cheerfully, Well, I'm not tired at all. I wanted to find a place where there's no one and let you give me a massage. Now it seems that I don't need it anymore. I'll do it in the future. I seem to have done something wrong. It feels good to show off. Lu Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is different. This can't help you rub your bruises and heal your wounds. While talking, he saw a sly smile in Xianxia's eyes. Monday morning by the Weishui Lake. With his hands clasped behind his back, Geezer Sher sauntered up to Lu Cheng and teased him. How is it? Have you mastered it? It's been 2 days. Lu Cheng didn't panic. He got into a stance and made a hand gesture. With a solemn expression, he said in a low voice, Soldiers. The surrounding atmosphere suddenly turned strange and tragic. Geezer sure seemed to see thousands of soldiers and horses charging at him from all directions with a strong iron and blood aura. The iron hooves shook the ground and the murderous intent drilled into his heart. If it were an ordinary person facing such a scene, his mind would have been shaken, his legs would have turned to jelly, and he might have even peed in his pants. But Geezer sure was a strong man. His eyes only twitched a few times and his pupils contracted. It wasn't because of fear but because of shock. There were thousands of words in his heart that he wanted to say, and many emotions that he wanted to turn into curses. But in the end he just smiled calmly and said, hee hee. He had mastered the army formula in just 2 days and he even used a rubbing? Over there, Fei Dan and Zhao Jingrong were top physical invulnerability experts, but they still hadn't mastered the original version. This brat needs to be dissected. Otherwise, this old man will be scared to death by him sooner or later. Geezer sure cursed silently. He took out the flagon and drank a mouthful to suppress his shock. Pretending to be normal, he asked, "When did you master it? How many have you mastered?" Lu Cheng smiled calmly and said, "I mastered the swordsman formula 2 nights ago. Yesterday, I mastered the army formula and forwarding formula." Cough 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 cough. Geezer sure choked on the wine. After a while, he said, "Longhu Immortal's legacy can help you master the 9 words formula?" With his rich experience, he immediately figured out the key. Seeing his master lose his composure, Lu Cheng felt refreshed. He answered honestly, "Yes, it has a connection with the 9 words formula. In turn, it will affect the charm of my visualization. I can master it in about half an hour, but the prerequisite is that I have a visualization diagram to refer to." So he couldn't master the other 6 words. In order to hide his emotions and maintain his master's demeanor, Geezer sure didn't ask further. He changed the topic and said, "Not bad. This can be considered as a compliment to your previous adventure. The army formula is a secret technique of the spirit. What about the swordsman formula and the forwarding formula?" Lu Cheng answered calmly, "The internal training of the army formula is to hone one's willpower, not to improve it, but to make it sharper and tougher in certain aspects. Externally, it is to suppress the enemy's momentum and attack his spirit. The forwarding formula is to cultivate one's state of mind, which is very compatible with the ice mirror. Externally, it is not only used to attack others but also to affect oneself. It is to subdue negative emotions such as fear, panic, and anger." Hearing his disciple's words, Geezer sure was speechless. In the end he nodded and said, "Very good. I'll also practice the 3 words formula later. Let's see how long it takes to master it." On Sunday, December 8th, the Songqing University Martial Arts Club, with Li Mao, Kai Zongming, and Lu as the main force, defeated the Martial Arts Club of Yunxia University School of Geology without a single drop of blood. As the champion, the Martial Arts Club successfully advanced into the top 8. According to the rule of the first versus the second place of another group, the Martial Arts Club avoided Shanbei, Sanjiang, and Haiyuan. It was already dark when they returned to the new campus. When they parted, they high-fived each other as a celebration. But they weren't too excited because this was what they had expected before the district competition. Their goal was not to advance to the next round, but to enter the national finals. Their joy would be released at that time. After parting with Kai Zongming and the others, Lu Cheng, who was carrying a backpack, pulled Yanjika aside. "What's wrong?" Yanjika vaguely guessed what Cheng wanted to say. Lu Cheng gritted his teeth and said shamelessly, "Ku, let's go sleep outside tonight. Yes, after a period of training my face has grown thicker. I can speak directly instead of just hinting." Yanjika didn't expect Lu Cheng to be so direct. For a moment she was stunned and blushed. "How can you say this directly? How do you want me to answer?" Lu Cheng then realized that he had missed the key point. He hurriedly added, "After 12 o'clock, it will be your birthday. I want to celebrate your 19th birthday with you. Don't worry, I'll get 2 rooms." At this moment, Dirty Tong's words inexplicably flashed in Yanjika's mind. "They will get 2 rooms first and then shamelessly stay with the girls?" Yanjika lowered her eyes and blushed. Under Lu Cheng's expectant gaze, Yanjika bit her lip and turned her head to the side. She answered softly, Okay. Just as she agreed, she felt strangely guilty and added, "I believe you." Good. Lu Cheng couldn't hide his joy. At this moment, Yanjika's phone rang. She took it out and found that it was her mother, Ji Mingyu, Empress Dowager. She first reminded Lu Cheng and then chose to answer. "Hello Ku, are you back at school?" Ji Mingyu asked with a smile. "Yes, Mom. Are you going to wish me a happy birthday in advance?" You haven't even given me a present. Xianxia said coquettishly. Lu Cheng stood aside quietly, outlining the evening date scene and the steps of giving a present. With his hearing, it wasn't difficult for him to hear the voice on the phone. Jimingyu smiled. I've already prepared it. Your dad happens to be free these 2 days. We've already arrived in Songqing and we'll celebrate your birthday directly. What do you think? Are you surprised? Xianxia slightly opened her mouth and looked at the dumbfounded Lu Cheng. She replied blankly, surprise, happiness? Chapter 327. Surprise. Lu Cheng felt that the sky was dark, as if the Empress Dowager's palm was pressing down. He was like a monkey on the Five Fingers Mountain, unable to escape no matter how hard he tried. As the saying goes, the virtue rises 1 foot, the devil rises 10. She had never expected that she would come all the way to Songqing to celebrate Ku's birthday. On the other end of the phone, Jimingyu continued to smile as if she didn't feel anything. Last year your dad and I didn't have the time to accompany our little princess to adulthood. This time we have to make up for it. We are at Songya Hotel. You can take a taxi and come here directly. Don't go to class tonight. Anyway, isn't it a class meeting? Just ask the counselor for a leave. Okay. Xianxia agreed, feeling warm and worried at the same time. Songqing University's tradition was that the class on Sunday evening was fixed as the class meeting. Of course, it wasn't written in the class schedule. It was usually given a sock puppet, such as situation and policy. This was the only class in the preset class schedule that couldn't be changed. Lu Cheng and Xianxia usually came back late because of away games on Sunday, so they directly asked for a long leave from the counselor through the school management. They didn't have to attend this class for a long time. After hanging up the phone, Xianxia pursed her lips and looked at Lu Cheng with complicated eyes. She opened her mouth several times but couldn't say anything. Lu Cheng quietly exhaled and smiled again. I want to ask a question now. How big is the shadow in my heart? Well, tomorrow is your official birthday. I'll treat you to a big meal tonight. He tried to dispel Ku's guilt by self-deprecating, but the loss and regret wouldn't disappear so easily. They couldn't hold each other's hands to celebrate the first birthday of their relationship. Moreover, he had no excuse to stay out all night tomorrow. Xianxia rolled her eyes and bit her teeth lightly. Suddenly she turned her head and looked to the side, slightly raising her chin. You and I will go over together? Ah? Meet the parents? Isn't this too hasty? Lu Cheng was shocked and frightened for a few seconds. But soon he calmed down and no longer panicked. I'm not bad now. I have the ability to guarantee Ku's future. I can hold my head high when I meet the Empress Dowager and father-in-law. There's nothing to be afraid of. This was confidence, and certainty. Well, it's definitely not good to go empty-handed. I have to hurry up and buy some gifts. What should my son-in-law bring when he visits for the first time? Seeing his surprised and thoughtful expression, Xianxia knew that he was thinking too much and outlining the future. She hurriedly said, What are you thinking about? I mean, why don't you stay in Songya Hotel tonight? When my parents are asleep, I'll come to find you. Let's spend the midnight together. Well, if my mom comes alone, she will definitely ask me to sleep with her. But isn't my dad here? The two of them love each other very much. How could they bear to part with each other? Same as us. Lu Cheng chuckled in agreement. He stopped all thoughts of meeting the parents and became happy and expectant again. Xianxia glared at him and snorted. She suddenly felt like she had done something bad again. She glanced at the luggage on Lu Cheng's back and suddenly realized something. You didn't stuff the birthday cake in there, did you? I was just wondering why Cheng brought his big backpack today. Not just the birthday cake. Lu Cheng smiled and kept her guessing. With his current strength and control of his body, even if he carried a small cake and ran around, it wouldn't be damaged. You have more gifts? Xianxia asked curiously and happily. She really wanted to know what it was now. Hey, you'll know when the time comes. Lu Cheng was determined not to tell, even though Ku kept asking. The family reunion, the delicious dinner, the surprise gifts, and the warm conversation had nothing to do with Lu Cheng. He stayed in room 1218 and busied himself with decorating. When everything was done, he chatted with Xianxia on the internet and patiently waited for her to appear. Number 1902, double bedroom suite. Xianxia was sitting on the sofa, leaning back and holding Ji Mingyu's arm. She was chatting with her parents about her major. On the tea table in front of her, there was a cake that had been eaten and a candle that had been blown out. She looked at the time on her phone and deliberately covered her mouth to yawn. I have to get up early tomorrow and go back to school for special training. Oh, it's late. Wash up and go to bed. Yan Kai looked at his watch and automatically understood what his daughter meant. Okay. Xianxia nodded and asked a little guiltily, Dad, Mom, when are you leaving? I'll send you off. Our flight is tomorrow morning. There's no need for us to send each other off. Go back to school. Yan Kai held Ji Mingyu's hand and answered generously and gracefully. Okay, love you. Xianxia smiled and acted cute in a slightly excited mood. Watching her enter the bathroom and hearing the sound of water, Yan Kai said thoughtfully, "'Cause seems to be thinking about something else and is absent-minded sometimes. Is it the first time she asked for leave and skipped school for this reason?" Ji Mingyu looked at him in amusement. She didn't know whether to praise him for having a sharp eye or ridicule him for being slow in thinking. She exhaled and leisurely said, "Girls at this age will inevitably have all kinds of thoughts." She hinted to her husband. Yan Kai nodded slightly and suddenly sighed with emotion. Ko has grown up unknowingly. She's a big girl now. Haha, I always feel that she was just a little girl yesterday. In the future is not far away. 20 years of life passed in the blink of an eye. At his age, it was inevitable that he would have such sentiments. Yes, a big girl. Ji Mingyu sighed faintly. She turned off the light and rolled on the bed. Resisting the sleepiness brought by the physiological alarm clock, she chatted with Lu Cheng about various topics and listened to the sounds in the living room. At 11 o'clock, she heard the sound of washing up. At 11:20, the door of the other bedroom closed. At 11:40, she waited patiently for a while. After changing her clothes and putting on her shoes, she carefully opened the door and walked out quietly and cautiously. She closed the door of her bedroom and put away the spare room card. She silently walked to the exit and turned the doorknob more attentively than when she was in the challenge tournament. She opened the door with a very faint sound. She walked out and closed the door behind her silently. She finally felt relieved. She took out her phone and sent a message to Lu Cheng. "Sister is here. Get ready to welcome me." Her footsteps became light as she skipped into the elevator. Swiping her card, she went down to the 12th floor and found room 18. She stopped at the door and felt inexplicably nervous. She took a breath and gently knocked twice. Crick. The door immediately opened as if magic was cast. She subconsciously looked in and saw that there was no light inside. It was dark. But in the darkness, there were bright stars as if the night sky of the plateau was reflected here, vast and dreamy. The stars slowly rotated, forming a variety of beautiful constellations. On the bed directly below Sagittarius, there was a small cake surrounded by 19 candles. The warm light of the candles flickered, illuminating the red characters on the white cream. "For my fairy's 19th birthday. So beautiful." Xianxia sighed silently and walked in. Her eyes were faintly shining as she remembered what she saw in front of her. At this time she heard a familiar male voice. "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you." Lu Cheng closed the door and walked behind Xianxia humming a song. He took out a silver collarbone necklace from his pocket. It was simple and elegant, with a round and shining pearl hanging from it. "I'll put it on for you," he whispered in her ear. "Okay." Xianxia stood there quietly and looked at everything in front of her. She sounded a little drunk. Lu Cheng put the necklace in front of her and fastened it with his nimble fingers. The length of the necklace was just right. The pearl pendant hung in the middle of Xianxia's two beautiful and delicate collarbones, like a drop of water in those attractive hollows. "Is it beautiful?" Lu Cheng kissed her neck on the side. These were all gifts that he had picked out from Ku's preferences and from her conversations and sharing of her own initiative. "Yes." Xianxia responded in a low voice. There were a lot of emotions in her heart and a lot of words she wanted to say. But when they reached her mouth they became inexplicable things. Why are you lighting candles on the bed? Be careful not to burn them." She only felt that her eyes were a little wet and her face was a little hot. "Have you forgotten that I'm a walking refrigerator now?" Lu Cheng laughed in her ear and pulled her to the bedside. "Wait for midnight to make a wish." "Okay." Xianxia answered for the third time tonight. She looked around and tried to find a topic that would not make her excited. "What's the meaning of this collarbone necklace?" Lu Cheng was prepared. He laughed and said, "A pearl means that it's your first birthday after we got together. It also means that I'm giving you the championship I won this year." "Humph, a pearl necklace for my first birthday and 2 pearls for my second birthday? And a pearl necklace in the future?" Xianxia was a little flustered because of being moved and happy. She was afraid that she would cry, so she subconsciously argued with him. "Good idea." Lu Cheng smiled and gave her a thumbs up. Xianxia stroked the pendant and looked around. She said, "I'm sorry. You also prepared a prop?" "Yeah, the starry sky projector. I was so stupid at that time. I bought one that cost a few hundred yuan, but it turned out to be just like a slideshow in a lecture. Could only fool kids. So I quickly bought this one. It's more expensive, but the effect is indeed different. Lu Qing shared this matter happily. When did you stop being stupid? Xianxia raised her chin and her eyebrows and eyes were full of joy. Soon it was midnight. Lu Qing looked at the girl who looked even more beautiful under the dim candlelight and said softly, "My dear, happy birthday. Make a wish now." Okay. Xianxia knelt beside the cake and closed her eyes. After a while she opened her eyes, leaned over and blew out the candles. Only the faint light of the starry sky was left in the room. "What did you wish for?" Lu Qing asked with a smile. Xianxia chuckled and said, 3 wishes. The first is that the person I love is healthy and everything goes well. The second is that I don't fall behind in martial arts and learning. The third I won't tell you. It won't come true if I tell you. Okay. Tell me when it comes true. Lu Qing picked up the table knife and cut the cake. He took a piece and took a bite. Later they unconsciously kissed each other. At first it was warm, but gradually it became more and more passionate. When Xianxia leaned back and her lips were tender and tender, Lu Qing said in a low voice, "Don't wake up Empress Dowager and the others. I'll wake you up tomorrow morning before morning exercise. I promise I won't do anything you don't want to do." Xianxia felt like she was in a dream since she came in. She had been dizzy and standing on clouds. Looking at her boyfriend's longing eyes, her heart softened and she said, "Okay, I believe you." Before she finished, she was embraced by Lu Qing again. Their lips and tongues tangled and they fiercely demanded. Her clothes and shoes fell to the ground. Lu Qing grabbed the edge of the remaining half of the cake and threw it to the round table. It landed steadily on the table. Under the witness of the vast starry sky, he kissed the girl from head to toe. Xianxia, who had never tasted such surging lust, bit her lower lip tightly to prevent her soft moans from leaking out. Her hands clutched the bed sheet tightly and loosely. Lu Qing, who had endured for more than half a semester, was a little impulsive. He tried to go further, but Xianxia didn't forget her bottom line. She stopped him and made her attitude clear. Lu Qing respected her wishes and kept his promise. He stopped in time and went into the bathroom. When he came out, the girl had put on her underwear and covered herself with the quilt. She was lying on her side with her face still flushed. She muttered, "You didn't follow the steps." "What steps?" Lu Qing was confused. "Isn't this a normal step?" Xianxia's face was a little red. She chuckled and didn't answer. Qing didn't follow the script. He didn't do what Dirty Tong said. He didn't say anything. He just started directly. When Xianxia finished bathing again, she lay back down and snuggled into Lu Qing's arms. She trusted him completely. Lu Qing hugged her, lowered his head and gave her a deep kiss. It was neither hot nor fierce but warm and gentle. Their lips and tongues parted. They looked at each other and smiled. Almost at the same time they said softly, "Good night." This was no longer a good night on QQ. This was a real and beautiful kiss. At 5:30 the next day, when Lu Qing got up and did his morning exercise, he experienced the meaningful feeling of every morning after marriage. He ran out of the hotel full of motivation. Xianxia stayed in bed for a while. After tidying up, she quietly went back to the 19th floor and opened the door to the suite. When she was about to sneak into her bedroom, she suddenly saw a figure sitting on the sofa. The Empress Dowager was wearing a nightgown and elegantly crossing her legs. Xianxia's vision went dark. She blurted out, "Mom, Lu also lives here?" Although Ji Mingyu was asking, her tone was very firm. "Yes, we didn't do anything." Xianxia answered first with a guilty conscience. Ji Mingyu stared into her eyes for a while and sighed with relief. "My son has grown up, so I can't help him." She patted the seat beside her and said softly, "Come on, Mom wants to talk to you." Lu Qing was refreshed and soon welcomed the quarterfinals. Because the opponent was not strong, Songqing University Martial Arts Club still adopted rotation. The combination of Sun Jian Xianxia and Lin Ke defeated Yang University. On Saturday, December 14th, they were the first to enter the quarterfinals. After Sunday afternoon, the quarterfinals were all decided. The organizing committee announced the first round of matches. Sanjiang College versus Haiyuan College. Shanbei University versus Songqing University. The wind was blowing before the storm. Shanbei? Li Mao in the office of the martial arts club blurted out when he saw the match list. He forgot that Xu Rui was leading the team to shoot the material. Lu Qing and the others already knew that they had to face Shanbei in the quarterfinals. However, they did not expect that the first match would be against the national champion of the last 2 years. Shouldn't it be the same as in the game? According to the order from the weakest to the strongest, they should face Haiyuan first, then Sanjiang, and then challenge the big boss after they have accumulated momentum. Why did they have to face the big devil at the beginning? Lu Cheng and Yen Zhika looked at each other and then at Lin Quebec. They had mixed feelings. There was excitement and expectation, but there was also anxiety and nervousness. The first match against Shanbei would not only affect this match, but also affect the following matches due to the different results. If their momentum was thwarted and their morale was low, they might not be able to win the next two matches. Shanbei. In Sanjiang College, Chu Hui took off his top hat. Imitating a Western gentleman, he bowed in front of the computer screen with a smile. What an easy draw. Songqing University was going to fight Shanbei first, so they would definitely win at the first spurt of energy, then decline at the second and finally be exhausted at the third. This was a great advantage for the martial arts club. Besides him, the other members of Sanjiang Martial Arts Club were also cheering. Shanbei. In front of the dormitory desk, Yen Shaoling almost jumped up. She quickly posted a post on the forum to calm herself down. Unparalleled Dragon King, what should we do? The first match is against Shanbei. Unparalleled Dragon King said with a funny face, what else can we do? We can't give up the match, right? Phew, this is going to be a wonderful match. It's as if I'm seeing a storm of blood and shadows of swords. The fake driver Okamoto's fan said in a literary tone. At the end he added, if Songqing University wins, I'll share all my treasures. At least detention, replied Bull Demon King to the fake driver. Brahmin, on the other hand, was screaming, I want to watch the competition live. Ah. Little Nightfall, you have to help me look at that. Can I ask, what should I bring to cheer for the away match? A banner? Big picture? Yen Xiaoling's fear faded away. She gradually became excited, mixed with worry and excitement. You don't need to bring anything. Remember, watch yourself, don't get beaten. Teased Unparalleled Dragon King. While Lu Cheng's fan forum was in full swing, the two lines of the match table also became a hot topic on Weibo. It was not strange that the match between the famous Heavenly Sons would attract a lot of attention. It could even be said that after the famous commentator He Xiaowei rated the four Heavenly Sons in his mind, many people had been waiting for this match. The verified account, National University Martial Arts Competitions, took the initiative to post a preview of the match with a detailed long Weibo with short and eye-catching words. The most eye-catching match in each division, the Heavenly Sons duel in advance. Will Peng Liyun, who has been famous for a long time, have the last laugh, or will Lu Cheng and Lin Ke, who are still young and inexperienced? On December 21st, 3 p.m., we will meet at the Flying Bird Stadium of Shanbei University. The following is the latest introduction of the main players and the main substitutes of both sides. Peng Liyun, rumor has it that he has the combat strength of professional sixth pin during the summer vacation. After more than 4 months of hard training based on his improvement speed, his consistent performance, and the fact that he did not contribute much in the previous division matches, his current strength is definitely worth looking forward to. Is he a strong professional sixth pin, a top professional sixth pin, or has he crossed the threshold of inhuman? Su Wanyan's Corvine mouth has improved again, but he seems to be addicted to his supernatural ability and his martial arts strength has not improved. He is still at the top of the professional ninth pin and has not crossed the threshold of being reborn. This time, his opponent Lu Cheng seems to be able to restrain his supernatural ability, which is not good news for him. Let's wait and see. Will his Corvine mouth be better, or will it be so fierce that he has no friends? Fang Zhirong, who first went to the martial arts school and entered Haiyuan, was trained, but later chose to enter Shanbei University. He and Lin Ke were in the same batch and at that time he was more famous than Lin Quebec. He entered the dance stage at the same time and succeeded in the middle of August. As we all know, in a period of time after breaking through a big stage, due to different levels of contact and different martial arts methods, a martial artist will have a period of rapid progress. So, after 4 months, how much has Fang Zhirong grown? In addition, when he was in Haiyuan Martial Arts School, Fang Zhirong majored in the martial arts derived from the dark sect and minored in diseases and magnetism. He was arrogant and independent, so he was nicknamed Bad Boy. However, after entering Shanbei University with Peng Liyun keeping him under control, he has become much more obedient. Mao Qingjun, who is in the same batch as Peng Liyun, is a substitute, and has become a top professional ninth pin fighter in the martial arts club. Bernhard, who is a freshman and an international student from Northern Europe, has a supernatural ability and is good at creating air explosions. His nickname is Nobel, but because his martial arts level is not yet at the professional 9th pin level, he is unable to compete for the position of the main force. Lu Qing, who is the biggest discovery of this generation in the Ice God sect, showed the strength of a professional 7th pin when he just entered the Dan stage in August. Now more than 4 months have passed and he has not fought seriously. Just like Fang Zhirong, who is in the period of rapid progress, what kind of surprise will he bring to us? What kind of miracle will the miracle boy create? Lin Ke, who is the new direct disciple of Shushan study, entered the Dan stage in June. It has been more than half a year since then, and no one knows how many movements of the fighting sect he has mastered. In the previous competition, it is said that he made a shocking performance when he showed his full strength. Let's look forward to seeing his full strength, who is also in the state of rapid progress. Xianxia, don't just pay attention to her appearance, we should also see her improvement in martial arts. In 1 year she has no rank to the current professional 9th pin level. Of course she is different from Lu Qing. She did not have a rank not because she did not practice martial arts, but because she did not participate in the ranking event. It is said that she is at the level of amateur 6th pin or 7th pin. However, it is amazing that she can reach the level of professional 9th pin in 1 year. Li Mao, who has improved from an ordinary amateur 3rd pin level to a professional 9th pin level in 1 year, is someone who can be imitated by ordinary people. Kai Zhongming, who is said to have reached the top amateur 1st pin level in only half a year. Sun Jian, a senior member of the martial arts club and the top amateur 1st pin level. Lin Hua, who is expected to reach the amateur 1st pin level this month. Now that the introductions are over, let's interview some of the leading players about this competition. At Shangqing Peng Liyun at Ironmound Forever Fang Zhirong 001 Lu Qing 129. As for Lin Ke, he probably doesn't have a Weibo account. In the self-study classroom, Lu Qing, who had been reposted and tagged by many people, saw this Weibo. For a moment, his mind was in turmoil, and he did not know how to reply in what tone or manner. At this time he saw Shangqing Peng Liyun take the lead and say, "I am looking forward to the competition with Lu Qing and Lin Quebec." It was a very ordinary and polite sentence, but under the interpretation of others, it had a completely different meaning. Does Lazai mean that Lu Qing and Lin Ke alone are not enough? He is looking forward to the battle of attrition by Lu Qing and Lin Ke, right? He is full of confidence. Not long after, Ironmound Forever expressed his opinion. Songqing University is very strong, and Lu Qing and Lin Ke's progress is also admirable. But I want to say that the final victory will belong to us. Fang Zhirong 001 said concisely, "Wait for them." Feeling the momentum and confidence of the national champion from Shanbei, Lu Qing held the phone and hesitated to respond. What's wrong? Xianxia, who had just grasped a difficult point, noticed her boyfriend's abnormality. Lu Qing handed the phone to her, turned to the beginning and explained in a low voice. "You don't know how to answer?" Xianxia looked at Lu Qing and asked sharply. Lu Qing nodded and sighed. "I want to win, but my reason tells me that the chance of winning is very small. If I show confidence and seek victory, I will probably be slapped in the face after the competition. But if I admit defeat at the beginning, I can't do it." Xianxia looked up and pursed her lips. Then she smiled and said, "Qing, I thought of a saying that I saw a few days ago. It is a bit vulgar, but it has some truth, and it is very suitable for your current situation." "What saying?" Lu Qing asked curiously. Xianxia smiled like a flower in full bloom. She said in a low and fast voice, "Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced." Now we can change it. Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced. Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced. Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced. Lu Qing repeated it in his heart. Slowly he felt his blood boiling. He already knew how to reply. He considered his tone and did not use such direct words to post on Weibo. After all, he had to be polite in front of so many people. His fingers quickly typed, and Lu Qing read it one more time before he sent it. "As a martial artist, you can lose but you can't admit defeat. Since you don't admit defeat, fight. Then fight."